Hello.
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How
Morning.
are you?
Fine, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm fine.
Just give us 2 minutes. Just reach the college, actually.
Okay,
So
okay.
give
No
us two
issues.
minutes. People are joining, sir. No issue
Okay,
with your meeting. Will be
okay,
completed by then.
okay, fine. Interest. So, what are the outline areas of interest, right? So, observe your environment, then ask questions to yourself. Like if I talk about my research, so I'll say that I always go for those researches that do have some social impact, right? Practical solutions I try to provide. If I talk about my own research areas, so like technology development for differently able people. So technology development for differently able people means like so how we can make their lives better, right? So what technologies can we develop? As we are developing technologies for deaf people, we are technologies developing for autistic children, we are developing technologies for blind people, right? So that when we are doing the research and we are coming up with some product, so will it be serving the society, right? And if you talk about the social sciences, so you can also relate my area with your social sciences as well. If I tell you that from my experience, I have interacted with so many different people, and the problem comes to the picture is that the deaf people, they do not have the opportunities to do higher studies, right? So first, the survey can be conducted related to deaf people, related to blind people, as there are 22 differently able categories. So you can work on those categories and you can find out how many people are there in these different categories and what are the difficulties are they facing related to their society, related to their accessibility, related to the society studies, related to the jobs, and related to like if we can say that how many job opportunities are there, whether it is in a private industry, whether it is in a public industry, public
বলছি এই ছবিটা থেকে পরিষ্কার ছবি।
So in this way we can just we have a lot of scope in this area as well. because people do not have touched much upon this type of area, and this comes into social sciences, no doubt, right? So that is very, even you will be having number of students and you have number of universities in Kolkata. So you can just find out the data, who students are coming over there for taking the admissions into this category, and what are the problems that they have faced related to the studies and the cooperation by the students, how the students, peer classmates behave with them. So a lot of research areas that you can just talk about, and this should be the area of your interest, right? No doubt it is a very interesting area. So you can make your interest in that also, right? So problem choosing means you are finding out the interest you have. Like if I talk about for my PhD students, I always, first of all, I always talk my PhD students that let me know your hobbies, right? What are your interest areas? Your interest areas. So whichever their interest areas are there, whichever their hobbies are there, I used to correlate my research area with their hobbies, so that it is always a win-win kind of situation, that their hobbies are also continued and my domain is also attached with that. So they are like, if I give you an example of, if I got a student from J&K, so I will try that if he has passion to work with their own mother tongue Kashmiri, so I will try to do some research work related to Kashmiri language. So in this way, they make interest and continue their research, and they will be having a personal touch with them with the research. So, and social impact should also be there. Then choosing a topic, narrowing your topic, because sometimes we start with a topic and then we have to narrow down, because we also have to see the feasibility. Sometimes we are very much, curious to do a lot of things, big things, but we need to see that is it feasible to do the research within that limited time frame or not? Is it achievable thing or not? So if you are starting with some new research area, new domain, start with a small thing. Then you have a long way to go, and you can just, move, you can go on extending the research, right? So narrowing your topic, keep your topic narrow so that you are able to achieve your goals and you are able to do something, you can give something to the society. Then no doubt discussing with your mentor or discussing with your team members, you can just identify a research problem and then identify the purpose of your study. So objectives and all you are defined. So that is the basic and utmost important step, right? If you have chosen the wrong topic, wrong problem, so till your research is not complete, you will always into the issue, you will always in problem, right? So this is the very, very crucial stage that you have to take care of that. And how can you find out the research problem? That comes to our mind, that sometimes students, we used to say that, okay, students, you come up with 4 or 5 problems, and then we will discuss about, and you will let us know, we'll discuss and then we'll find it, right? Now the students are in dilemma that how can they find out the research problem that they should pursue in their PhD, or teachers can apply for the projects, right? So these are some of the resources from where the students or teachers or faculty members, they can go for. They can, no doubt, Google Scholar is a, it's an ocean, right? So a lot of research areas are available. So you can Google of your interest, and related to that, you will be getting a lot of PDFs, a lot of information. According to that, you can just note down all the research areas, note down the topics where the research is being done. Then institution repositories will be there, right? It may be online in the online mode libraries, or they can visit the libraries over there, and whatever the research has already been done, and that is at some primary stage, and that can be extended further, so they can be taken up. So Shodh Ganga, so we all know about Shodh Ganga, right? In which all the PhD theses are available on the Shodh Ganga. So according to the subject area, we can just go over there. You can download all the theses. You can look at all the titles that has been worked on, and accordingly, you can just find out which research problem you would like to pursue and what are the research gaps that has been left over there, which can be further extended on. Then Shodh Gangotri is also there, in which the research synopsis is there. Just to wait a sec, I'm getting call from somewhere number of times. Just give me 1 sec. So is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Sorry,
Yes. Sir.
sorry.
No, no, it's okay.
Okay. So next is now we have finalized the research area, research problem. Okay. So Shodh Ganga and Shodh Gangotri, they are very best resources. No doubt visiting the library and talking to your peer members who are very. So then now how you can do the literature survey, searching the literature, locating and evaluating the scholarly reading material. That is also very important. And that is, even students are not aware that how should they pursue the literature review. So it's the moral responsibility of the supervisors to guide them, right? So these are some of the steps like planning your search, building a structured search, obtaining the full text, citation searching, keeping up to date, managing what you find. So now I will be exploring each and every part over here in detail. So first is planning your research, right? So conceptualize your research question. That is more important, right? If suppose you have taught, you have come, it comes to your mind that on this topic I would like to pursue my research, is anonymity of social media users necessary to protect freedom of expression, right? So this is not so what you will do, you will Google it, right? Directly you will Google it, right? So what you need to do is you need to put synonyms into it. Okay, not only synonyms, but you need to go for multiple meanings, right? Geographical variations you need to put in your title. Historical context you have to put into your title. Technical terms or jargon you need to take off. Opposing concepts you need to put into, so that your research question remains same, but you have different variations of that, so that you get different variations of the literature as well. So it is not related to only your question, but it is related to your conceptual question. By putting synonyms, by putting multiple meanings, so incorporate all these things, right? So then building a structured search. So where would you typically search for scholarly reading material? That is a question for us, right? First is Google Scholar. So Google Scholar is very effective when you know exactly what you're looking for. You're working on a question with highly specific keywords, right? Because you have defined one question, student always used to try to put all, and whatever the results are there, they try to download it and start reading it. Okay, but some of the links are remain missed out over there, right? Because we are not changing the query string over there, and even advanced search form is not very flexible. So what we can do is we can go for interdisciplinary databases like Web of Science and Scopus. They are the one of the best one. Then subject specialist databases we can refer to, like we may index niche publications overlooked by the large databases, right? Format specific databases like newspapers, you can sometimes articles are there, right? On some like I talk about agriculture, right? So there are very good articles on new research areas. There are articles, new research area has come into the market, but nothing has been started. So you can just go to the newspapers, you can visit, you can read out the thesis, synopsis, even magazine articles. So they all can give you the idea and how you can just pursue and what the people has done. So these are all right. So number of results, like if we take about the example of the chocolate. So if we find out Web of Science, Scopus, Madeline, Google search, right, Scholar. So a lot of research that will come up with these journals, right, in this field. But if we talk about, so I have eliminated two. So why? Because they are indexed in the Web of Sweeties, not a real database. Some of more has been eliminated because they are not indexed in the chalk base. It's not a real database. So some more journals to which the library subscribes, right? And then we can say, so we need to filter out everything to make it a good one, right? Then is how to apply the research strategies. So first, apply search by using truncation and wildcards. I think we all know about the wildcards. It means we have the special characters, question mark, asterisk sign, right, dollar sign, and some. So you need to put out there. Then Boolean operators you can put, like plus you can use. Proximity operators you can use, grammatical indicators, plurals, parentheses, phrase searching. So you have to try, put number of you have to options you have to try out, so that you shouldn't miss out the some good literature that is available. and you are not emphasizing only on your only one string and you are searching that. So a lot of you have to make the modifications in your research, keeping the concept same so that you are getting the right results. So this is how you can just put the when you're talking about Boolean logic, so you can put or, and, so you can put another. So in this way, you can just have a look on these and you can try a lot of things. So Web of Science is so this is an example of Web of Science search options. So Web of Science is an interdisciplinary search, we all know. So we can use or, we can use and we can add many rows over here. So special moves is also there, as we have talked about the truncation, we have talked about the wildcard characters. So like you can see over here, asterisk has been put over here. So asterisk means like anonym, and after anonym, anything can be there, right? So in this way, you have to do experimentation to get very good literature for your work, so that you can get ideas what has been done by other researchers related to the research problem what you have chosen. So these are another filters, some of the filters that you can just look at the Web of Science. Here you can see publication years you can define. So Web of Science categories also are there, like subjects. If you are talking about computer science, you can just define it to the computer science. If you are working upon computer science and psychology, so you can just click on computer science and psychology, right? So in this way, if you are using all the options that are available in Web of Science, so I think you will be getting very relevant results and literature as well. Review and retain your history. So whatever you have found from the Web of Science after doing a lot of exercise and a lot of experimentation, so you can just save the history and create the alert as well. So there is an option of saving the history, and after that you can just export also, right? So there is an option for save history. So after that, we are thinking of obtaining the full text, right? So we, if you have done a literature survey and you have used the bibliographic database along with a full text journal archive, you will see that the results are not same. They are not same. So Google Scholar. So if you look at the last part of it, so full text at York, right? It means that so it is not available online, but on this university subscription, it is available over there, right? So there are some of the open access journals as well. So this is open access. You can see here it is that at University of York, this is available full text. So in this way, you can just add library links into it. If your university has taken the library subscription, so you can directly add into the library subscription, and you can see University of York, so library links. So it will give you the whatever the library access University York has. So those journal will also come into the same. So similarly, if you talk about India, so if IITs has taken the journal subscriptions and library links, so that can be added by those students, and when they are into this, they are logging using their institutional login, so they will come up along with that also. So open access options are also there. Fine. So find at the York. So because if this is the, so this will come over there. So these are some of the options where you can go for Google Scholar, Shodh Ganga, Shodh Gangotri, InfoLibNet, Scholar, and Interlanding. So you can just access over there. Then citation searching. So this is especially important when you have found a very small number of relevant results and are other people writing about this question using keywords you haven't identified. So that is very important. So how can you do tracing academic arguments? First is referencing. So we have two things. One is references, one is citations. References, where did the author get his or her ideas from, right? Citation, who has discussed the author's ideas in more recent works? Got the idea? So we will be first giving the priority to those literatures which has been highly cited, right? Because they has been considered to be relevant and useful for the research community. That's why they are highly cited. So start from the best material you can find, like highly cited material, authored by a leading researcher, a close match to your research interest. I think you all agree on this. Then citation searching tools, The good ones are Web of Science, Scopus, Google Scholars, and Beware. So sometimes citation is also misleading, because self citations are also sometimes occurring in those. So you need to take care of that also. Use a bibliographic database for more control, links to cited references, set up an alert. So that is also a good option, that you set up an alert. If you have chosen one research problem, so you will be informed with the new articles related to that has been published by any author, and you will get first-hand information in your email IDs, right? So Web of Science also analyzes the level of the journal. So then Scopus for a slightly different analysis, a different total, because slightly different sources are indexed, options to remove self-citations by the author, data about who's read downloaded article as well. When comparing individuals or general titles, stick to the metrics from a single source. So these are some of the things that you need to be taken care when you are browsing the Scopus and you are finding the things. Then next is keeping up to date, right? So keeping up to date means like initially for 3 to 4 months of my research journey, I have done my level best, right? And I have tried a lot of experimentation. I have found a lot of research literature, and after that I started my work, because I will not be getting time to do the literature survey again. So how can I keep myself updated with the literature survey automatically, right? So this is keeping up to date. So you can set the alert over there that whatever research area you are interested in, if new research papers are coming up, so you will be getting the alert, so that at least you are able to find. And if you thought that this is very good paper that can help me out, so you can just instantly you can read the paper and you can download that, right? So keeping up to date, follow your favorite author on Twitter. Like if I space that, if I talk about NLP, natural language processing, so Professor Pushpak Bhattacharya, he is best in NLP according to me. A number of there, I'm not saying best, but they are the good researchers that are into the NLP. So if I start following Twitter, his Twitter handle. So if he is publishing that I have published this paper, my student has done research on this, these are the topics. So I came to know, and I will be curious about to know what they have done, and that can add to my research. So some databases will let you know, save your searches, right? And there are number of alerting services available. Social media such as blogs, Twitters can be useful. Journal TOC is there, so you can journal table of contents are there with over 26,000 journals from 2,500 publishers. So this is all about keeping up to date. Then managing what you have found, that is very important. Now you have planned your search, you have found the literature survey, you have obtained the full text, citation searching, keeping up to date. But whatever you have collected, that should be managed well, so that you are again not in a crowd again, and you need to dig in your own work. So managing, so find, first we have done the find, then we are storing it, organizing your references into groups, and create your own researchable database. Creating automatically build and format bibliographic graphics using Cite while you write in your MS Word. And share, if you have your collaborators, if you want to share with your guides, so how can you share your references with them? Keeping track of your references. So we have already seen this. So simple is the best way, Google Sheets, right? Another is Microsoft Edge. You can use that, that has the capability to annotate any PDF you have read. Then reference management software, you can go for EndNote, Zotero, Paperpile, so that you can just browse from the internet. So these are some of the good tools. Then if you want to collect the references, suppose you have gone for Google, you have gone for other bibliographic databases. There, My Library, like in Google, we have a My Library, right? And other, we have Reference Man or other. So you have just pinpoint over there. And when you have pinpoint all, then you have the option of export all. So then you can export all, and they can be exported in collection in the form of RIS file, that is Research Information Systems file. So accordingly, you can just then make your bibliography for your research. So this is very good. You can just try it. Reference management, like reading and referencing, managing your reading, stages of reference management. So just I'll talk fastly go about this. Reading process, defining your topic, keeping track, reading, creating bibliography, citing, searching. So we have all seen. So referencing is the part of the process from the start. Keep track of the bibliographic information of anything you read and what type of a source it is. You need to keep track of that, because day one, when I started my research, so I was in M2 and I have done a lot of literature survey, right? And I have collected a lot of material from the net. But after 1 year, when I started into the implementation, I forgot everything, right? I will not be able to recall everything. So that's why we need to keep whatever we have read, we have to organize well properly. Keep track of searches you have done and their results. Check bibliography information to make sure it is correct. Use bibliographic information to create references when you cite information in your work. So that is very important. So what might you be citing? Journal articles and the books, but not just like newspapers and messages and all. So website reports, videos, cases, tweets, conference papers, podcasts, and more. So if you don't keep track of your reading, what will happen? Goes to cite a useful statistics but can't find the article again. Sometimes it will go away. And whenever we are finding the article from the website, we usually write that accessed this on this date, right? And this time. And after that, might be this article has been removed from the website, but at that time it was available. So you need to keep information along with that. Takes days to create a bibliography. So didn't get the exact link to the web page, so spend hours on Google to find it. After that, you are not able to find out sometimes. Go back to find the next text, but find a similar named one instead. So sometimes you are not able to find the similar or same link what you have read earlier. So this is small activity that you can perform. Managing your reading. Think about the whole process and make sure you have all the information you need. It's all about what works for you and not what looks shiny and your friends uses. Organization comes with many different forms, like what will be, so you need to take care of that. So Word document you can manage, you make Google Doc, so that Google Doc, it is available everywhere. Spreadsheets, reference management application, you can use notebook with labels and indexing. So what is the reference management application? It is a place to import. First, we were talking about exporting in RIS file. Now we are importing into the reference management application. So a place to import and organize bibliographic information and store a list of material you are using, right? This is organizing. Plugins to add in the citation using bibliographic data from your library. So we can have the Google plugins into the Google Chrome itself, in the browsers itself. So then collecting references, search online databases, and multiple references are IIS file. These files only collect the information about the material. Exported data is not all 100% collect, so you need to check manually. You can attach PDF of the text to some references, only collect PDFs you are actually reading or need to do. So how can you organize? Sort references into groups, folders for different project reviews and topics. So easily manageable. Manage duplicates by merging or removing them. Search your own library like database and apply filters. So this is filter. So you know which kind of referencing style you need to go for, like APA, one of the example. Citing references, you all know about that reference style you should choose. Then how you can share the references. So these are the two popular referencing management applications. One is Paperpile and other is Zotero. So it is a browser-based Chrome with the useful extension for grabbing references and PDFs. It's paid. Then MS Word plugin still in beta and site in Google Docs. It's a free open source desktop installed software. So you can just explore these two software as per your convenience. Then exporting, we have all talked about. So we can export also that, so that you can just import in your reference management software. Then when you have exported, then you can report. So here you can see that RIS is there, right? So even you have BibTeX, RIS, Zotero, RDF, etc., Mendeley and all. Browser extensions you can plug in and put the browser extensions as well, like Paperpile or Zotero. You can just have a Google extensions over there. Then checking, you can just manually check whether whatever has been collected is fine or not. Then duplicates, you have the option of duplicate items. So it will removing all the duplicates, and that will be making your life easy. Then you can sort it. You can find the referencing style as well. Then adding the references, you can just add the references over here. You can download in the plain text version as well. So what you do, what do you need to share? So whenever you have the collaborations, so collaborative space for the references, sharing the reference list, need other people to import a list into their own library. So what you would like to go for? So that is the question. How can you manage the files? We all know about the Google Workspace, right? It's a very resourceful option. Okay, and I think very easy for all, right? So it is not just an email or a search, because it has a lot of things with it, a lot of applications along with it. So task-based approach for selecting apps, right? Depending upon which task you are performing, at which stage you are working in your search. So accordingly, you can task-based, you can find out the apps you will go for. Like what task do you need to complete for your dissertation? What Google apps are you currently using? Is there anything stopping you using Google apps? So you are looking at Google Drive, one of the option, I think we all know about that. This is for the collaboration. This is for storing your data. And so it's a very powerful thing, right? Google Drive, you know all about Google Drive. Then you should keep the naming conventions very in a meaningful manner, right? Need to give documents descriptive names to make them easier to find later on. Same goes for the folders as well, cannot rely on other folders. Good naming conventions help you regardless of where files are stored, right? Being organized, so calendar is there, right? Google Calendar, we all know, right? Add your deadlines and key milestones, configure your view settings, block out time, see your day, week, month schedule. Okay, so you can plan, it is a planner, right? Then Google Keep, that is also good, right? So online post-it notes, mobile app sync with it, can share notes or turn them into Google Docs, can draw notes and do voice recording, appears on right-hand side in Gmail, Calendar, and Docs. You can just explore, this is the good one, and you can see the example over here, that is Google Keeps. Google Tasks, we all know, simple to-do list, add deadlines and drag and drop to organize list items. Sidebar appears in Gmail, Drive, Docs, Calendar, etc. Use the task sidebar on Gmail, right? So Trello, keep on the top of what you need to do and have already done. Tasks can be defined and prioritized and can have updates on their own action status, a very satisfying way to see how much you have done. Add comments and attach documents to tasks or actions. So this is Trello, you can just explore it, it's a good one. Then is Pomodoro Tracker. Pomodoro Tracker, choose a task you would like to get done. 25 minutes timer, you can, if you have done that, it will ring time. And when the timer rings, put a tick on a paper, take a short break. Every 4 Pomodoros, take a longer break. So working with data in Google. So we all know about sheets and the forms, right? So spreadsheet application in cloud, range of features for manipulating data, collaborative features, insert tasks. So Google Forms, we all know, Google Sheets, we all aware about. How can you visualize your data, right? You have number of options like communicate your data, need clean data to visualize, proper date formatting, insert charts and graphs into your dissertation to highlight points. Range of chart options in Google Sheets and maps are there. Reading online, so go full screen, take up as much screen as you can, take breaks, reduce brightness, keep an archive, make notes, sit comfortably, get the computers to read you. So now I think all these we have now equivalent to, because we are into the online for 2 years almost. So writing up, So desktop versus web. So desktop means like Google Docs are there, or the Microsoft Word you can use, right? So this is all right. Used for writing your dissertation or complex document. Even LaTeX you can go for. Like version history you should maintain along with your documents. In Google Docs, you have the option of saving the version history. So you should maintain your version history as well. You can revert to previous versions if needed and create a copy of one. Sometimes it requires. Versions can be named to make it easier to navigate them. For example, draft one and so on. Doc permissions, edit, comment, and view. So accordingly, we can give to our collaborators. Even then, you can just organize your documents by using the styles. You can just go through all these. So you can generate an instant table of contents automatically as well. So you can just go for the styles in action. We all know about this. So this is all about styles. So then this is developing your digital skills in which find and research, organize and analyze, create and communicate, being critical, group work and collaboration. So now data ethics is very important when you're talking about the research, right? So first is what is data? Collecting and using the data, data context, documentation, reuse, technology and data, retaining and sharing data. So I'll be skipping, I think you all know about data. This is the example of Jamboard. I think you all know about, that is provided by the Google, right? So this is very useful. Definition of research data, you all know about the data. So data ethics, what is data ethics? Data ethics, it's a new branch of ethics that studies and evaluates moral problems related to data, algorithms, corresponding practices in order to formulate and support morally good solutions. So data ethics builds on the foundation provided by the computer information ethics, but at the same time, it defines the approach endorsed so far in the research field by shifting the level of abstraction of ethical inquiries from being information centric to data centric. Like we need to follow the data ethics when we are doing the research. If we are using some data set that is publicly available, you need to cite it. You need to acknowledge it. It's not the case that you always show that it's my own data set. It's unethical thing. Right? So you will be, are you collecting the data that are personal data, sensitive or confidential, commercially sensitive data, third-party data, or are you working on your own or collaboratively? So that is the question mark, that what kind of data you're working on, right? So why are you collecting or using the particular pieces of data like name, address, postcode, picture? Why it is required? Racial, ethnic background, religious beliefs, right? So avoid collection all these so that there should not be any controversy. So copyright issues are also there. If you talk about the 7 guiding principles, lawfulness, purpose limitation, data minimization, accuracy, storage limitation, integrity, and confidentiality, accountability. So you should take care of all these points. So this is, just have a look on this. So to avoid such kind of situations, right? Go for Google Drive, right? So that you have all the data on the fly wherever you move. Data context, right? So look at this sample data sheet and imagine you have just downloaded as you want to use the data in your search. So what contextual or explanatory information is missing that you need to take care of, right? What information additionally would like to see supplied? What can be reused? Some like if you talk about the gender, so here you will not be able to find what it has been written. Some abbreviations are there on the title bar. So these are all the issues that you need to take care of this. Documentation and metadata. Documentation is the contextual information required to make the data intelligible, right? Data documentation is simply documentation also, but it should be intelligible also, right? So there should be a user guide to your data. Metadata is similar, but is usually more structured, right? In which from where the information it has been collected and data about data, right? Metadata is data about data. Sometimes, so explain it like who created, when and why, description of the item, methodology and the methods for the collection of data, units of the measurement, definitions of jargon, acronyms, and code, references to related data or software or computer code, all should be documented well. So that in future, when you are now writing your dissertation, you are not into the dilemma from where I have collected it. What was the source of the data? And after that, we should not come into the problem. Just you can just read out the lower portion of the slide. So I think that will make you more clear. So sometimes data biasness is also there in the data sets. You need to take care of those. Thinking about your search data, what do you know now need to put in place? Type of data you will be using or collecting, what data you will be collecting and the sensitivity of the data, and the context of the data, including documentation and storage. So that these are the important parts. Now, technology and the data. What digital tools and methods are you planning to use with your data? Choosing the right digital tools, define the task and what output you want. What tool could be used, and is there a standard tool for the job? Is the task manual, or could some of it be automated using a particular tool? How will you use the tool to do the task? Have you tried it out using some test data? So these are the questions. Just read out for 1 sec, so they will be important for you. So how you will be choosing the right digital tools for collecting your data by keeping the answers in your mind for these questions.
Can I ask you something?
Pardon?
I have a question, sir.
Yeah, please.
I think all we the social science basic most of the time is survey data, collection of survey data, right? Hello, am I?
Yeah, your voice is breaking.
Sir, now it is clear.
Yeah.
I'm saying that in social science, most of the time we are collecting survey data.
Mm-hmm.
So in case of survey data, I have seen so many, lots of
Voice
unnecessary.
is bit low. So yeah, I'm not able to understand and hear you properly.
Sir, is it clear now?
Yeah, it is clear now. Yeah.
Sir, basically in social science domains, I've seen many people in management, especially, that they collect survey data.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
So in case of survey data, they collect so much unnecessary amount of data. Like whatever they will not analyze, they will also collect.
I'm coming to that part also in my future slides, which is also there.
So is it suggested? Do you suggest it to collect those data which are not being used in an analysis?
No, that is not required. And even that the person daily we are getting survey forms, and if it is very small, so we will be providing. It is sometimes crucial that I should not, and I will not share, right? So I'll be coming to that part also. I have those slides with me. So using technology with purpose, technology is not always the answer. So it is not there. Sometimes what we do is we always want to be tech savvy. We always want to go for the computers, but sometimes the things can be done in a simpler way. So choose the simpler method. Why should we go for the complex things, right? Even in our programming also, we say that if the things can be done in a simple way, why we are going for the machine learning, right? That becomes the complex, right? So go for the simpler algorithms. So questions how a tool is doing something and why you have got the output you have. So I'm just algorithms, automation, and AI. So these are some of the tools. Then is retaining the data. Then data citation, we all already talked about that we should cite in our publications from wherever we have taken. So when you have done your search, so how you are retaining the data, making it public or not, so it all depends upon your research. This is what you're talking about, right? So how can you design your survey? Digital tools for your search. Google Forms are there. You can go for another. There is a Qualtrics. You can just explore it. This is have more features other than Google Forms. Some of the bad examples, no doubt, this screen, if you see that these times our kids are looking at such time of Google Forms for filling they're giving their exams, right? So so these are some of the bad examples that has been shown over here. So we need to be very careful when we are designing our survey forms. Yeah, so this is the question, like 10 steps to less annoying forms and the surveys.
Yes, yes.
So plan what you are actually doing, right? Why, who, what, which, how. So this is, these questions you need to keep in your mind, and you need to plan for your survey form. Don't spam people, right? Means you are not sending the mails haphazardly again and again, and you are spamming their email IDs. So you know the targeted people, you should send to the target people only. So they can, emails and the contact lists, is the email the best method for you? How did you collect the contact list? How often are you mailing people? So this is all that people will respond to you. Consider your participants who will be filling it out. How will they be filling out? Could you make your survey more welcoming? Right. So you need to take care of these things, because at this era, most of the people want the people should fill their survey forms, and this is a thankless job. Right. So why the people will fill the form? No doubt you will call the people, your near and dears, they will definitely fill for you, but stranger will not fill for you. So there should be a single submission option, right? Only collect the data what you need. Why are you collecting each item of data? Unnecessarily, you are putting the pressure on the person to fill everything. What kind of data you are collecting, whether it is personal data or a specialized category. Sometimes people have a first subsection in that Google Forms in which you are collecting the whole life data, right? Your email ID, your kid's name, yeah, and so and so. So that is not required. If you require only name or email ID is sufficient for you, just ask for the email ID and go ahead with your own work, right? Don't how to ask for data nicely, right? So don't collect information in two different ways. Only force response or make required when necessary. Make please explain questions optional. Be clear and concise, add description to your questions. Keep text concise, avoid jargons, be clear. Suggest how long it takes to fill out, right? Helping out your participants, like description is there. Don't make it too difficult, right? Then single versus multiple choice questions. Are you restricting the user for giving you accurate information? Is it as easy as possible? Keep the design simple. Use images where necessary. Use sections or pages. Group questions logically. Make the submission point clear. Validate your data, right? So validations can be put in your Google Forms. Metrics tables, use sparingly with familiar scale. Only show relevant questions, right? So we have a branch condition. So if this is true for you, these questions are applicable. Otherwise, they should not come. Before sending, test it. Analyze your test data through exporting the data. Response sheets are there. What are the survey tools? Google Forms and the Qualtrics. Qualtrics and Google Forms. So these are some of the, I have already discussed about this. Why are you conducting a survey or using a form? That should come into your mind. What is it you are aiming to do? Can it be archived through other means? Survey tools are not just about canvassing. They are also about controlling the type of information you are wanting to receive. Right, so you have collected the data, usable data. Design your form to meet your data need. Design your form to meet your data need means validated data should be there. Qualitative, quantitative responses are there. So this is Google Form options are there. Question type you need to choose. Question options, special data types are also there. Linear scales are there. What's essential? Do not lose sight of your stated aim. That is important. Don't ask for the step you don't need. Don't ask for the stuff you can get through another means. Don't annoy your audience with too many questions or force them to answer questions that you could be optional. Structure your survey section by section. It should come. It may be in a branch section. It can be in a linear section. Collaborating on a form. So add collaborators. Then you have a response configuration as well that requires the login, collect email addresses, send responses to user, one response per user, allow editing after submit, link for the summary. So these are the options that you can do, survey options, settings you can do. Response destination. So you can just have the option of setting the response destinations, Google form and Qualtrics, in which data and analysis option is there. Then if you want to distribute, so you can have the option of shorten URL or simple URL, long URL. So you can just send it to your friends. How can you distribute? Through email, web, social media, mobile, and number of online panels. Making sure it is accessible. It is sometimes you haven't give the rights. So web-based and the mobile friendly. Follow survey conventions. Example provided. Can return to edit. Reasonable length should be there. Progress bar will be there. Can help keep a copy. Navigate easily using tab button. Accessible and user friendly. Test with a range of people. Then Google Sheets, we all know, essential, working with the data. We can process the data set using the Google Sheets. Traditional sort and filter option is there. We can have the filter views also. Then specialized functions are also there with us. We can apply the filters using special functions. Like these are some of the functions. You can query the data set. Working with the form data. So you have, so these are some technical terms I'm moving. Survey tools, Qualtrics. You can gather the data, range of question types are there, add quotas and limits on numbers. You can put the logic over there, question bank, you can provide, analysis can be done. So you can just, if you try to do this Qualtrics by yourself, you'll be able to understand. So I think you should explore Qualtrics by your own when the lecture will be finished. So there are good features in which data and reports can be generated in a good manner other than Google Forms. How to analyze and communicate data. Analyzing the data, so quantitative analysis and the qualitative analysis. So in qualitative analysis, you can have the descriptive statistics, you can have the inferential statistics. And then qualitative analysis, in this student semantic analysis. So you can have the spreadsheets in which you have a lot of special functions to do the analysis. Statistical software you talk about, SPSS, R, Python, Stata and others. Use the one you have been taught and other supervisor or other in your department uses. These software can do descriptive and inferential statistics. So you can go for Python, Stata, and NVivo is also there for the qualitative data analysis. You can just explore NVivo. So then communicating data, how do you go from statistical output to a write-up? So you can just go for that, reporting qualitative data in your, if you have done so, and then how you are writing into your, through plots, to graphs.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sir, is there any tool that can help us in interpretation of the quantitative tool? Suppose I have used regression, and if I simply put that regression mark into that software or some kind of website, it can provide me with the interpretation so that I can save the time on the interpretation part.
Can you come again, please? Can you come again?
I'm asking, is there any tool exist which can provide us with the interpretation help, like writing the interpretation of that graph? Maybe I have used some regression, but I need to write it down the interpretation of that regression. No? Is there any tool that can help us with that writing tool?
Yeah, definitely, because now era of artificial intelligence has come. So using the data intelligence, number of tools, such tools has already been developed. So I will send you the list of those tools later on after the lecture.
Okay, sir.
So then common graphs are there. Scatter plotter is there, then box plot is there. So you have number of visualizing tools are there. So you can have number of type of bar charts, graphs, tools. So you can just have a look on such what kind of analysis you can do. So these are the type of graphs that you can draw. So how to deal with the messy data? So sometimes data is missing, data is not in a proper manner, right? So data is often pivoted, but sometimes the data is not pivoted. So what are the tools? We can have the Excel, Google Sheets, etc. Rawgraphs.io is there. Charticulator is there. One is digital creativity tools.everything. Everythingability.com is there. You can just go there and number of tools you will be finding over there for this. So now we have done a lot of our research. Okay, we have done implementation, we have done analysis. Now thesis essential. So I'll be going very fast because you all know about the creating your thesis with Word. So document setup and layout using styles, automatic numbering and table of contents, creating the final documents. So why we are using it? We have the two options, Word and the Google Docs. So structured content and visual styling using document model, automatic TOC, or you can write your own TOC. How to keep the margins, document structures, styles, appearance, why to use the styles, multi-level list can be there, inserting table of contents, line breaks, templates can be used. So this is how it works. So this is the final version. Then troubleshooting common problems, sometimes issues are there. Okay, now is there that information sharing tools, decisions to make before choosing, purpose and audience. Who are the audience where you want to share your data, and what is the purpose of sharing your data? So what sort of information might you or your peers want to share and with whom? What is the sort of information? Document, useful info, updates, news. What do you want to share? When do you want to share your information? Do you want the tool to be collaborative? Does it need to look smooth and attractive? So these are some of the questions. Collaboration through Google Drive. This is, we all know about it. Then can set up tasks for individual or groups which notifies. You need to do the permission settings. Can share with anyone through a link. Can share complex items and newsletters that keep your formatting. Avoid creating duplicate file versions. Google Groups can also one of the options where you can just communicate and share. Where there also you can have the visibility of the group. Then Google Sites you can also go for. WordPress you can also go for. Then you have the bloggers, social media. Okay, so now I'll be just moving with the 3-4 slides in which just I have shown you all the names. I think they are the appropriate for number of your research purposes, academic research purposes. And I have a Word document also where I have written, I will not say written, but I have compiled the paragraphs related to each and every this tool. So I can share that doc file with you all. So research management tools, you can see margin note is there, Zotero is there, reference works is there, EndNote is there, Mendeley, RedQ, Quora, Docker, Paperpile, and JabReference. So these all are the research management tools. Reference or index resources. So Google Scholar, Archive, Springer Science plus Business Media or Springer, part of the Springer Nature. Then HAL, Medline, ResearchGate, CiteSeerX, Scopus, Emerald Group Publishing, Web of Science, and so on. Information collection tools, survey and web data collection tools. So these are Google Forms, SurveyMonkey, SurveyGizmo, PollDaddy, Lime Survey. So these are some of the data collection tools. Then web data collection tools, Octoparse, ParseHub, DocParser, Scrape, and FeedIT. So best 12 tools for researchers for better results. So you can just read out. They can be of help. Finding and sharing data in the code. So these are some of that. Mostly, I think GitHub is being used. DataHub is also one of that. So these are some of the research tasks you can perform using these tools. Just have a look on this. These are the data visualization tools. Software for data analysis. Thank you very much. I think I try to cover most of the things.
Marathon session.
Yeah. I think it was 250 plus slides.
So participants, the forum is open for questions. You can ask your doubts to sir. Sir, I have a question as a participant.
Sure.
First thing is that I find this Qualtrics is more user-friendly than Google Forms because I have tested it both. And
Yeah.
one of the finest thing in Qualtrics is that it can automatically convert these Likert scale into numbers, and they can assign numbers to this Likert scale, which we have to manually do in Google Form.
That sometimes we are not aware about more tools, as Google Forms is very popular, right? So that's why we are just behind that. Even I think Microsoft Forms we have not used. People
No.
are using very less. That is also very good.
Mhm. So my question was that same question, that is there any tool that can help us in interpreting the the data analysis results?
Yeah, definitely there are. So that's why I'm saying that I will provide you the list of those tools. I will email you all those.
Because most of the time we have to give much time for that writing interpretation manually.
Yeah. No doubt. So this time in this era, whatever you have in your mind, you will get that tool. Simple thing. Because artificial intelligence has changed everything. But
Exactly.
I'm not sure what will be the accuracy, but the tool will be there, definitely.
Tool will be there. Right. So if we can run the tool, the analysis tool correctly, then I think interpretation will not be an issue.
Yeah, definitely. But there will be some questions they will be asking, and you will be providing the data. They will give you the description of that.
Sir, one more question. Basically, what is the difference between this analysis, interpretation, and the discussion of the result?
Analysis, description, and
Analysis, interpretation of the analysis, and discussion of the result.
discussion of the result is very much clear. I think that is not an issue because you are writing into that, right? And then you are comparing as well with the existing works. And one is analysis, that is, we can say one step ahead of the analysis. Like you have the graphs with you, you have analyzed the data. After that, you are saying that you are interpreting the graph, inferring the results out of it, right? And after that, you are comparing and writing, you are documenting the things. So these three tips you can write in the way.
So if we write the discussion part on the paper, I think there is no need to write the findings again.
Findings, we can say that that comes out to be your final conclusion on that. In a summary, like what is your own findings?
Okay. Understood. So anyone else would like to ask anything?
So within 5 minutes, I just let know what are my
Yeah.
own research areas. I think you all are familiar with the Urkund.
Urkund, yes, that's a flag
Yeah,
software.
flag detection. Yeah. So now I am sharing my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is the software pleasant detection tool that we have developed. It was funded by ministry to us worth 20 lakh rupees.
Okay.
And this is developed only for Indian languages.
Okay.
Okay, so it was not there for Indian languages. Primarily, it is working only for English and Hindi and Punjabi. But
Okay.
we can extend it. So you can just have a look. It is having the look at feel of Urkund, but this is
Okay.
working for Hindi and Punjabi. So
Will it be accepted, sir? I think in the universities, like.
no, we have not made it open because it all depends upon the government to make it open.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Now, no doubt, this Shodh Mapak has been trademarked as well in the
Okay.
jointly with the name of the Punjabi University, and so you can just have a look on this. That this has the similar interface
Ah,
with the
like
Urkund, but it is working for Hindi and Punjabi. If I show you that what is the repository we have with us for Punjabi, I'll say, I'll show you the summary. Anyhow, this is our own team.
okay. That's
Okay.
very,
Yeah. So
very good job.
another project.
Very useful. Okay. Indian Railways announcement system.
For deaf people.
Okay.
So this we have not released yet, but I'm just showing you all. Here, what's your language? Which language?
Hindi, you can. Bengali, you can say.
Okay, right. So all the announcements, static announcements, will display over here in Hindi, right? So if I
Okay.
say "Paidal yatra na kare," so now
Okay.
you look at the avatar, it will display this announcement in the language of deaf
Okay.
with sign language. Just
Okay.
concentrate on the avatar now.
Great. Great.
यात्रियों को किसी अन्य अज्ञात यात्री से कोई संदिग्ध चीज नहीं लेनी चाहिए. So now we are working on the dynamic as well, like arriving. So train number, if I put on train number as 2134, source, like I say that Patiala, Kolkata, platform number 3. So it will take all the parameters and display it.
Excellent, sir. Excellent.
So this is also funded by the social ministry for 25 lakh rupees, and we are developing it. And now we have started working on a secret mission in which we are working for Baloch language, Pashto, Dari, Sindhi, Kashmiri, Urdu,
Okay.
and Dogri. So we have started working on that.
Great, sir. Great.
Okay, then I think I should wind up.
Great, sir. Sir, if you don't mind, then can we ask for the PPT of your lecture?
Yeah, I will share as the PDF file. Definitely, I'll share it.
Okay. Okay. So we are winding up here, sir. And thanks a lot on behalf of Bharatiya Vidyavan Institute of Management Science, Kolkata, for delivering us such a wonderful lecture. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.
Okay, bye bye. Take care.
Bye bye, sir. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.